Hi, good morning everyone. Let's get started with this particular training session in which I'll be covering about the SAP HANA architecture and landscape. So let's get into this particular training session. So basically the first thing that we'll get into is I'll be talking about the HANA architecture. Here you can see this is the HANA database system which has 5 different main servers: the index server, the pre-processing server, statistics server, access engine, and the name server. The SAP HANA database consists of multiple of these servers depending on what type of scaling you go for. The most important component in this is the index server. This is the index server that we have it here. The index server contains the actual data stores and the engine for processing the data. The index server uses the pre-processing server. So internally it uses this particular server for analyzing text data and extracting the information on which the text search capabilities are based. The name server that we have it over here has the information about the topology of a HANA database system. In a distributed setup with instances of SAP HANA database on multiple hosts, the name server knows where the components are running and which data is located on which particular server. So this plays an important role in the scaling environment. In case if we want to scale our system, this will be the key component which will have the database of all the different servers running in the environment. Okay, next is the statistics server. Statistics server collects the information about the status, the performance, and the resource consumption from all components belonging to the SAP HANA database system. Monitoring clients such as the SAP HANA Studio access the statistics server to get the status of various alert monitors and the consumption information. The statistics server also provides a history of measurement for further analysis. Okay, next we have the access engine. This is an optional part of SAP HANA database. It allows mapping of the persistence model in the database to a consumption model that is exposed to clients via HTTP. It also contains the services that expose the search capabilities of the SAP HANA database system. Okay, so let's get into the details of the index server because this is one of the key component that we have. Okay, so let me go to the next slide where I am covering up about the index server. Okay, at the top is the connection and session management. So the session management is taking place here. Basically it creates and manages session and connections for the database, such as the reporting tools that we have it over here. Okay, then we have a transaction manager. Transaction manager is the component that coordinates the transactions, controls transactional isolation, and keeps track of running and closed transaction. Okay, so then we have the client requests are analyzed and executed by a set of components summarized as request, processing, and execution control. Okay, so this is one main component which is request, processing, and execution control. Once a session is established, database clients typically use SQL statements to communicate with request, processing, and execution control. For analytic applications, the multidimensional query language MDX is supported also in this particular case. Okay, so the next is the incoming SQL state requests are received by the SQL parser. The data manipulation statements are executed by the SQL processor itself. Okay, and the other types of requests are delegated to the other processors, other components. For example, the data definition statements such as definition of relational tables, columns, views, indexes, and procedures are dispatched to the metadata manager. Okay, the planning commands are routed to the planning engine that allows financial planning applications to execute basic planning operations in a database layer. Okay, the SAP HANA database offers programming capabilities for running application-specific calculations inside the database system. The SAP HANA database has its own programming language. SQL script is used to write database stored procedures. Procedure calls are forwarded to the stored procedure processor. Okay, then the incoming and MDX requests are processed by the MDX engine, and which is also forwarded to the calculation engine. Features such as SQL script, MDX, planning operations, they are implemented using a common infrastructure called calculation engine. Okay, so these are basically the main components of in-memory computing engine, which takes care of all the processing, uh, the session management, the passing of the information, the processing of information. Okay, at the heart of the SAP HANA database index server are the relational engine. Okay, this is the relational engine which is having row store as well as the column store. A store is a subsystem of the SAP HANA database which include in-memory storage as well as components that manage that storage. The SAP HANA database has the following subsystems that we just saw is the row store, the column store, and the object store as well. Okay, these relational object stores act as database. Row and column stores are in-memory database, that is their primary data persistence is based in RAM. Row store data is row based basically. That is, the data is stored in the row format. In this respect, it behaves like a traditional relational database. Data is stored and retrieved in records, in tuple, in rows. A major difference to traditional database is that all data is always kept in memory. That is, anything to do with the row store is always in memory. It originates from P star time in-memory database system, which was acquired by SAP basically somewhere in around 2005. They acquired a company which was taking care of P star time in-memory database. Okay, the next component that we have is the column store. Okay, this is one of the heart of the SAP. Basically, this is what provides the fastest processing speed, faster analytic speeds, and it basically stores tables column wise. Okay, column store originate from T-Rex product. This product basically is developed into a full relational column based data store for SAP HANA database. So this is how they have come up with the column store technology. Okay, the object store that we just saw is basically it is not storing any data. Okay, then at the bottom we can see is the persistence layer. Persistent layer, because this being an in-memory, everything happens in the memory. So in case if there is any power failure, in case if there is we need to restart the system, all the information is stored in disk, all the persistent information is stored, all the logging information is stored. So it keeps track of what changes has happened, where it is stored. Okay, in this particular slide you can see that this in-memory computing engine, the in-memory computing studio, they are the key component of SAP HANA, and apart from that there are database clients like JDBC, ODBC, ODBO, which allows the client tools to connect to SAP HANA. Okay, so apart from that, here you can see there are ERP system, we have BO Enterprise, which is having data service designer, data services. Then we have the other systems like SAP NetWeaver, BW. So they depend on mainly the customer's scenarios, depending on whether it is a BW environment that we are trying to connect, depending on whether ERP environment that we are trying to connect. And at the top you can see there are the business objects portfolios, basically the BI components, and it also depends on the customer scenario, depending on which reporting scenario customer is having. These are optional component, and they totally depend on the landscape, the customer's landscape, customer scenario. Okay, so here you can see SAP's Visual Intelligence, which is one of the latest addition to the SAP Business Objects Explorer solution family. Despite not carrying the portfolio brand Business Objects, SAP Visual Intelligence is part of the SAP Business Objects portfolio and extends the value of SAP Business Object Explorer. With the web and mobile experience of Explorer, business users can quickly explore their data and build their own dashboards. SAP Visual Intelligence complements these two experiences while offering business analysts the ability to perform more advanced data transformation and analysis. And hereby it connects all to SAP HANA to get the data in real time and replicates or refreshes the data in real time. So that is one of the key benefits of using visual intelligence to generate the real-time graphs, real-time analysis, getting the data directly from SAP HANA. Okay, so that's what is in the architecture components. What we have seen is the in-memory computing engine, which is the heart of SAP HANA. We have at the top on the extreme left side, this is in-memory computing HANA Studio, which has the admin and the modeling interface. Then amongst the optional component here you can see this is the ERP system, which has the replication agent, which is connecting to SAP HANA through the replication server, which is SL transformation server. It is basically used for the real-time replication into SAP HANA. Then you can see the SAP BW NetWeaver system is there, which also can connect to SAP HANA through the data services. Basically through the data service designer we can design the scenarios, replication scenarios, and through the data services job server it can connect to SAP HANA. Then at the top you can see there are different reporting clients which is available. Basically they are from the SAP's business object product portfolio, which is BI Explorer, it is analysis, we have connection through the MS SQL, through using the BI4 universe, we have crystal reports, web intelligence. So using these components we can provide the existing reporting layer as well. Okay, so amongst the replication we just saw that there is one component which is the replication server. It is for real-time replication. SAP is using trigger-based replication, that is SAP's landscape transformation. Then we have the data services, which is ETL-based scheduled replication. And here you can see we can have the DXE connection as well using BW extractors and data capabilities to load data into SAP HANA database. Okay, so that is about the DXE system, because business suites they have the embedded BW which can be leveraged for this particular scenarios. Okay, so these are basically the different components from the reporting perspective. Okay, so let's see from the replication perspective. So from the replication perspective we just saw that there is SLT is there, which is SAP's landscape transformation. Then we have the data services, which is basically used for scheduled batch replication. Then there are things like DXE, which is direct extractor connection from business suite into SAP HANA. Okay, so these are there from the replication perspective. Okay, let's get into the modeling aspect. So in the modeling you can see we are connecting from SAP HANA Studio using that modeling interface into SAP HANA. Okay, so basically the tables are replicated using say replication server, which is SLT, using the data services. Okay, once the tables are replicated, the modeling can be done based on the data that is coming into SAP HANA system. Okay, so that is on the modeling aspect of it. Reporting aspect, we just saw that how the different BI platforms reporting component we can use Okay, so which can use different type of drivers like JDBC driver or ODBC driver that comes together with SAP HANA. So that can be used. Okay, then from the data persistence perspective, here you can see at the bottom we have the data persistent layer, which is in turn is using the disk storage, that is the data volume and the log volumes. This is mainly providing the persistence layer and taking care of the data storage and taking care of all the changes which is coming into the SAP HANA system. So let's get into the next slide, which is talking about the different components, how they are connecting. Especially here you can see some is connecting through SQL, through BIX, through MDX, and at the bottom you can see is we have SAP Business Suite, we have SAP BW or third parties systems is getting connected. They are connected using some of the replication servers, could be through SAP's data services, could be through SAP's SLT replication. Okay, so at the center of it, here you can see this is SAP HANA appliance. Okay, this appliance is mainly delivered by some of SAP's hardware and software partners. Amongst the software partners, we have SUSE Linux, we have Intel, and amongst the hardware devices is delivered by HP, IBM, Fujitsu, Cisco, Dell, NEC. These are basically the partners which is providing the in-memory software plus hardware. Okay, in-memory computing engine software, basically it is having data modeling and data management features. Okay, then we have real-time replication using SLT transformation, we have data services. Okay, the capabilities which are enabled is mainly the analysis information in real time at unprecedented speed on large volumes of non-aggregated data. So this is one of the key thing, that is we are getting the real-time replication, and it is so fast depending on the amount of memory we have and the way the row and the column stores are there, which is analyzing the information, and we have the calculation and planning engine as well. Okay, next capability is the creating flexible analytic models based on real-time and historic business data. Okay, third main capability is the foundation for new category of application. Okay, and lastly is the minimized data duplication, because everything is there in memory. We don't have to go for aggregates, we don't need the aggregates in these cases. Okay, so let's get into the next slide, which is talking about the different landscape components that we just covered. Okay, so at the center of it we can see SAP HANA appliance. It is basically a SUSE Linux enterprise server, which is 11 SP1, that is the version of this, which is basically the SAP HANA's SAP HANA 1.0, and the current version that is there is Service Pack 5. Okay, at the center you can see different components, that is SAP HANA database, we have SAP HANA client, SAP HANA Studio, load controller. Then we have something called host agent. This is one of the component used for monitoring and for connecting it to solution manager. Okay, then we have Sybase replication server and ECDA. Okay, so these are the different software components within the HANA appliance. Okay, and then here you can see the peripheral systems. Okay, at the extreme right side at the top, here you can see the admin workstation. Basically we have the SAP HANA Studio, we have SAP HANA client, then we have MS Excel 2010, Data Service Designer, Web Access to BI admin tools. Okay, on the extreme left side at the top you have the LT server. This is the landscape transformation system. Basically these are the different versioning that need to be there. Basically it is a NetWeaver 7.0, it's 7.0 EHP2, and the minimum kernel level should be 7.2, and it requires an add-on on top of NetWeaver 7.2. 02 is DMIS 2010_1_700. This is the minimum version of add-on which is required to be installed to convert NetWeaver 7.0 EHP2 system into LT replication system. Okay, you can use your solution manager if you have solution manager having at least 7.0 EHP2. Okay, then below that LT system, you can see the data sources. We have data sources like ERP system, which could be having SAP ERP, host agent, Sybase replication agent. Okay, then we have the SAP BW system. Then amongst the data sources, it could be any other non-SAP system as well. Okay, so these are the different data sources. Then we have at the bottom, you can see the data services. We have data service 4.0, which is having the job server, which is having the repository. It could be shared with business objects enterprise. Okay, then at the bottom on the extreme right side, we have the BOE server, which is the BI platform 4.0 or 4.1. So, okay, then in the center on the right side middle, we have SAP HANA database client. So these are basically the end users workstation in which they need to install the HANA database client, and it could be HANA Studio as well, and which will be having MS Excel 2010. Okay, then web service access to BI client. So this is in short is the landscape, typical SAP's landscape for SAP HANA. Okay, let's get into the next architectural component. Here we are mainly seeing the scaling aspect of it. That is how we can scale a HANA system to provide different functionality, like to provide scalability from the performance point of view. That is, we can have multiple number of index server for doing processing work. We can have multiple number of name servers if we required. We can have a preprocessor. Okay, here you can see this is a single host configuration which is having host 1. Okay, we have your name server, index server, static server, preprocessor. Then we have the other components like software update manager for updating and patching work, host agent for connecting it to solution manager. Then we have SAP HANA Studio repository. So this is a typical thing for a single host configuration. But when we scale it from single to multiple, we have, this is the host 2, you can see host 3, and we can have these servers on top of it. Okay, so which can help to scale the HANA environment, and that is one key component, so that you can scale it from terabyte 1 to terabyte onwards till up to 100 terabytes and even more, which is getting tested by SAP. Okay, the next slide here we are talking about the packaging, that is how different flavors of HANA is being supplied by SAP. So the primary flavor is the SAP HANA Platform Edition. Okay, so at the extreme left side you can see this, and this is having these components here in the center on the extreme left side in this particular box, which is showing the components for platform edition. That is, these are the different components at least which is there for platform edition. So these components include, we have SAP car, which is for extraction purposes. We have LM structure, we have SAP host agent, SAP HANA client, SAP HANA Studio, SAP HANA database. Then we have the JVM for SAP, okay, and the sum tool for SAP HANA. Okay, then we have these monitoring components like monitoring and administration component, which is SAP HANA Studio, SAP HANA client. Okay, so this is basically at most components present in platform edition. Okay, so when we go for enterprise edition, we have components like data services, we have LT agent. Okay, then if we go for extended enterprise edition, we have ASC, we have Sybase replication agent, Sybase replication server, HANA load controller. So these are the additional components which comes if you go for extended enterprise edition. Okay, on the extreme right side you can see these are the other tools from the BI product portfolio, which is Explorer, Dashboard, Crystal Report. Okay, so this is from the HANA packaging perspective that we just saw. Okay, now from the network connectivity perspective. Okay, in this slide you can see different components of SAP HANA in the appliance. So we have HANA database, which is the core component which is providing all the processing capacity and the database capacity. Then we have the SMD, that is Solution Manager Diagnostic Agent. Then we have SAP Host Agent, some tool for updating and patching in. Okay, then here on the peripheral side you can see different components, to network components to which this connects, this appliance can connect to. So at the first one is the SAP HANA Studio. This is mainly for administration, modeling and lifecycle management of SAP HANA system. Okay, then you can see SAP Landscape and Virtualization Manager. This is basically for start and stop of HANA within SAP Landscape. Then we have SAP Solution Manager. This is mainly for monitoring and support. Okay, then we have SAP Support OSS. This is basically for the remote support of SAP HANA system. Then we can connect to SAP Marketplace for downloading SP stack and patches. Then we have connectivity to DXC, that is direct extractor connection. This is basically for data acquisition from SAP business content data source extractors. Okay, then it can connect to SAP Landscape Transformation. This is basically for real-time replication. Okay, then we have SAP Data Services for ETL based loading. Okay, then we have R runtime. This is basically for direct integration with R runtime libraries. And we have next gen in-memory applications for direct access via SAP client. We have connectivity to SAP NetWeaver 7.3 BW, basically for primary persistence of SAP 7.3 AS ABAP. And we have SAP Business Object BI for analytic scenarios using BI suite of products. We have HANA user interface for information access for search and host capabilities inside HANA. Then we have SAP HANA Composer, which is mainly for easy data upload into SAP HANA. Okay, so these are the different network connectivity to which HANA can be connected to. Okay, depending on scenarios, we will be having different components out of this. Okay, now here you can see this is the component architecture. Okay, in this component architecture, SAP HANA appliance software from a deployment point of view is seen. We have SAP HANA, we have database, client, studio, host agent, LM structure file, SAP card. So these are the software products which is available within SAP HANA. Okay, let's go to the next slide, which is talking about the different network interfaces which it can have. Okay, it is talking about the different layers and how GPFS plays a role in the file system storage management. Okay, then here we are talking about the solution approach, that is what type of typical scenarios you can have. Okay, here you can see this at the heart of it is SAP HANA system. Then we have SLT replication server, then we have data services, we have SAP ERP. On the right side you can see the reporting product suite, which is Webby, could be dashboard, could be crystal reports. Okay, so this is a typical solution approach from high level. Then for the mobile client, this approach could be something like this, that on the right side it can SAP HANA connect to SAP's Sybase unwired platform and can connect to the mobile devices. And here in this particular slide I am showing about the different BI reporting tools which is available, like Webby, Dashboard, Crystal 2011. Then we have Explorer, Analytic Office, and how this product is connecting to SAP HANA through different protocols like SQL, JDBC, ODBC. Then we have how we can use the semantic layers and which are the different protocols we can use from SAP HANA database. Okay, that's all I wanted to cover in this particular training video. Thanks for joining and have a nice day. Bye bye.